the other agents in the league.
So there is hope, is what we're saying here for Mana. What is different about this agent that he's about to play?
Right, so as I'm sure Mana has kind of prepared himself to play this one game, we also wanted to prepare something quite special for him. So one thing that we kind of talked a bit about is the lack of a camera, even though there is kind of an implicit camera that looks around and does about 30 screens per minute. So instead of just carrying on training, what we did is we kind of started an agent from scratch that would learn to utilize the camera explicitly. So the agent we're going to see, and we can also show some footage of a previous version of the agent, is actually an agent that in first-person view utilizes, decides where to look, what to do with the camera as well, which perhaps removes, some of these kind of, in terms of fairness, one thing that we could say, well, maybe that part, even though the agent, still acts very locally, maybe that's not so great about it. So we decided to train a brand new agent, really hot off the press. We obviously don't have pros to test this again, so it's the first time we see it play against such a caliber player. We're very excited to see what Mana has in place, and also I've seen some very cool moves or games that the agent has played. So I'm hoping to just see a really entertaining game, hopefully.
Yeah. It sounds a lot more fair, but to me that also sounds like it could potentially be weaker than what we just saw. Because what we just saw was basically an agent that's all over the place, microing stalkers at 3 places at once, despite the fact that it doesn't have superhuman speed or anything like that. That still seems like something that's a lot harder to pull off with this agent. So would you say it's weaker, or does that not mean anything?
So surprisingly, when we actually started to train this agent, we saw that it started off a little harder. It was harder for the agent to learn how to play using the camera. But over the week or so that we were training this agent, we saw that it started to catch up and eventually became as strong, according to our own evaluations, as the previous agent. Now, of course, that doesn't mean that it will necessarily actually be as effective against pro players. It's, in fact, as Oriel said, is really hot off the press. We just finished training this neural network, and it's literally just been put on this machine to play this game for, and this is the first time we've seen it play a pro. So who knows what's going to happen.
All right, so no big expectations one way or another. It's going to be great. We're going to get into this live game just momentarily. One thing we need to mention, as Tim Morton from Blizzard was talking about earlier, there is not an observer mode yet. So what we'll be watching is actually Mana's point of view. You're going to see what it's like for a pro gamer to actually play StarCraft 2. And so that's going to be exciting. It's going to be fun, a little bit more jumpy than what we were watching before, but this replay as well will be on the DeepMind website.
Yeah, on a personal note, I mean, we saw all the games, obviously not with an observer mode because it does not exist, but it was exciting also to see the game from the player's perspective, because you can try to gauge how he's feeling, where is he looking at, what's he worried about. It's really also a different way to watch StarCraft that's quite exciting. Obviously, we're not going to see everything that goes on. StarCraft is an imperfect information game. And then also, just to note, indeed, there's no observer mode, but also it must be said that this is a fairly a binary mostly done for research, the StarCraft binary that we're playing. So obviously the live game hopefully goes well, but I mean it's not kind of production level. So let's hope the game works well. But I'm just kind of a caveat, right? So for us to be ready. Yeah,
indeed. All right. Any thoughts before we get into this game, though?
I just want to see a good game.
Yeah,
I want to see a good game.
Absolutely, good game. We're all excited.
Okay.
Very much of a StarCraft answer.
All right, let's go into this game, Roddy, and see what Mana can pull off. Now, again, this is Mana's point of view. It's the same map that we have been on Catalyst. So you see Mana up here. He's going to be the green Protoss, and of course, we already know where Alpha Star is. It's in the bottom right.
This is very fun for us because, Dan and I had absolutely no idea about any of the games that have been played. We were absolutely kept in the dark about scores. But what we did know is that there was going to be an exhibition match at the end of the day. And the way that I've seen Mana today is kind of similar to how I see him at tournaments. He's racing a little bit and excited, but at the same time a bit nervous as well. So you could really see that he is taking this match very seriously. And after I saw those previous games, I suddenly understand why.
Oh, absolutely. And I love the fact that they hid everything from us, Roddy.
Yeah,
And we got to kind of learn with everyone else that this was a 10-0 so far, but you know, now we get to see, because as you said, it seems like it could be a little bit weaker here, because like that Stalker game, it felt like, oh my gosh, how can you even, how can you pull this off?
It's remarkable, truly. I mean, the first agent, it looked very beatable. The one that TLO played really felt beatable, even though we saw TLO try different strategies. And TLO is, of course, a great StarCraft 2 player, but he's a lot better with Zerg than he is with Protoss. Then the first game that Mana lost, I'm like, okay, that's a little bit sloppy, Mana. If that would happen in a tournament, we would really criticize him for it. It's like, okay, that's a mistake you're not supposed to make.
Sure.
That was your game. But throughout that best of five, that 5-game series, it's like, okay, I can actually not blame you for losing this game. I can absolutely not blame you for losing this one. And then we just saw game 4, and it's like, yeah, okay, I don't think anybody would beat that.
So Mana now has scouted. He's playing a very standard game at this point. And we see that this agent of Alpha Star has decided to wall that top of that ramp. So, you know, we've seen that off and on, but mostly not happening. Just an interesting thing to note. Probably won't see Adepts coming out right away from Mana because of that.
It is so interesting to think that it started itself that, though, because it has been, you know, playing against itself, the reinforcement learning, and that eventually, you know, one Alpha Star made 2 Adepts and killed a whole bunch of probes from the other Alpha Star. And it's like, hey, I should actually start walling off.
My gosh. Put enough Alpha Stars in a room for 200 years and you get some very strong strategies.
One of them was the one to open up with Adept. So we're still obviously following Mana's point of view. Mana has not revealed us what kind of a strategy he wants to go for, other than the fact that Mana opened up with the Stalker and the Sentry. I'd still say this is the most common opening among professional StarCraft 2. It's good to scout, it's strong defensively, and it doesn't really have a weakness.
Well, overall, style-wise right now, what we've seen from Mana, he's scouting a lot. He has a probe out on the map that he's checking a lot of areas with. The Stalkers have been back and forth. So Mana's being careful, looking for anything Alpha Star might be doing on his side of the map that could catch him off guard.
Mana hasn't seen a whole lot yet, right? Even though he has been scouting for everything. I don't think he saw units.
I have not seen a single unit yet, so if Mana has, it's
I'm a little bit surprised by Mana's approach here. It seems like Mana actually wants to get, you know, very aggressive in this game, even though he has a lot of workers. He has too many workers, unless he's learning from Alpha Star already.
Well,
he's like,
he was saying
I need more probes.
No, this is a real thing. He was saying that maybe he learned something from this. I mean, if Alpha Star went 10-0 against pro gamers by overmaking probes, maybe all of us have been undermaking probes.
This is really fun. But the 2-gate robo opening is, in general, this is the most defensive way I think you can play Protoss versus Protoss. Even the Nexus for Mana is quite late, as we are watching Mana's point of view. Mana is scouting at this point on the other side of the map, and he spots that the Alpha Star A has a Stargate.
Wow.
B also has a faster expand.
Yes, and an Oracle being made specifically, so Mana is starting to defend against this right away. Wow, really good decision making here. Actually sacrifices the Oracle for a couple of sentries, so that's I don't mind that at all from Alpha Star. I like what he did.
I don't know if I would agree with that. I mean, that's a personal preference, right? Like, obviously picking off sentries of your opponent is awesome, and Mana losing 2 sentries, that absolutely stinks. But I think in general, I would prefer to have an Oracle alive in this phase in the game than picking off 2 sentries. But
well, there is a second Oracle on the way right now. I just caught it on the mini-map, so I think we are going to see one fly in towards that main base, and we'll see if, once again, Alpha Star wants to go for sentries or maybe something else. Now, Alpha Star is actually attacking right into the front with these Stalkers.
At the same time, the second Oracle shows up in the main base as well. Imagine a world where Alpha Star would have had both Oracles alive at this point. Then the Stalker aggression combined with 2 Oracles would have really paid off. But this is still nice. It's an even game, but Alpha Star is definitely dominating the pace of this game.
Roddy, right now, this really looks like I'm watching a professional human gamer from the Alpha Star point of view. You know, watching the fact that Alpha Star is coming into the main, coming into the natural. You know, we kind of see... there's that second Oracle you were talking about as well.
So now 2 Oracles are showing up, and at this point, the shield battery that Mana has in his mineral lines... Okay, the Micro on the Oracle was really good at this point.
Yeah.
The Oracles, the shield battery is out of energy at this point as well, which means it cannot heal up these workers anymore, and Alpha Star has picked up a tremendous amount of workers of Mana.
I'm getting chills right now. Like, what we're seeing from Alpha Star, this feels so far like the most human-like game that we've seen. Just the Oracles coming in and harassing, you know, maybe the Sentry trade wasn't something every pro will do, but overall, very, very good stuff. Now, Mana's fighting back, though. Mana's defending everything, kind of. He's lost probes and whatnot, but doing a bit of counter damage and getting some scouting done as well.
I feel Mana got a lot of damage done here with just 2 adepts. That's not a massive investment in this phase in the game. And these adepts definitely paid for themselves. I am incredibly impressed with everything that AlphaStar is showing when it's attacking. When it comes to defending, it seems like things could be cleaner.
Yeah. So, Mana's still getting very good scouting intel with that observer, seeing exactly what is going on in AlphaStar's base. And that's such an important aspect of this. You know, Mana wants to know, like, is this going to be mass Stalker again? It kind of looks like it.
Mana actually decided to go for his own Stargate, and it's kind of odd timing.
Yeah.
AlphaStar is already going up to 3 bases. I mean, the amount of workers that the AlphaStar was able to pick off in the first few minutes of this game, as Mana is canceling that Stargate, by the way.
Yeah.
This really starts to seem paying off, and I think that AlphaStar is actually pretty far ahead in this game.
Yeah, AlphaStar is just playing so smartly and comes back in with double Oracle once again.
Yeah.
Eliminating quite a few probes, but Mana did cancel that Stargate, like you mentioned. Like, he's getting so much scouting intel that he does know what are the right choices for him. But the fact that Mana is sitting here, like, if you see someone making a bunch of Immortals to you know, counter your Stalkers, what do? You take a 3rd Nexus. And that's exactly what AlphaStar has done here.
And we also, I mean, I love the mobility of the Oracles. The Oracles seems like they're never away from the keyboard. They're always active.
Yeah.
Flying in again once more, picking up. I mean, normally we have an observer interface where we can tell exactly how many workers went down. If I would have to make a rough prediction, I'd say it's been 25 at least in this game, if not more than that. And in StarCraft terms, that is a ridiculous amount of workers to pick off in an 8-minute game.
Yeah, it is a huge amount. Now, it seems to me that Mana is going to be relying this game upon tech, right? It is superior tech. He has a Warp Prism right now with Immortals in it. He's trying to get upgrades. He's trying to utilize these units to counter Stalkers once again. It didn't work in that other game, but maybe here.
Yeah, I like the positioning of the Observer on the left side of Mana. We can see that Mana knows about these Stalkers coming back as well. I think Mana was a little bit worried because the Stalker count was so high that perhaps AlphaStar was actually able to just close out the game on the other side of the map. So Mana is kind of pulling AlphaStar back. And these Immortals are, I mean, this is a dangerous game that Mana is playing, because if this Warp Prism goes down, I think it's safe to say the game goes down from
Yes, I think you're right. But if Mana can continually lure AlphaStar back, that's a way that Mana can actually gain an advantage.
Another Oracle being produced, by the way. I mean, one Stalker being warped in range of these Immortals. Mana's absolutely striking back here. And
Mana's playing brilliantly. Like, you see those Stalkers continually going back and forth. AlphaStar either doesn't know or doesn't care about the Observer watching his movements. So Mana is just going in and out. Every time AlphaStar leaves, Mana comes back in. Now this is kind of what I'm used to seeing when humans battle AIs, right? Is you're finding something that they're doing that's a mistake and you're making them do it over and over and over.
But, you know, in defense of AlphaStar is still up on 3 bases.
Oh, no,
Mana
absolutely.
is on 2 bases. But you are spot on. What Mana was doing there was correct. I'm curious to see, I'm curious just to find out why AlphaStar decides that at this phase in the game, it feels like it needs another Oracle. While you would normally say in a professional game, you make a single Phoenix, you shot this Warp Prism down, and you move on with your business and you start focusing on attacking. A single unit out of that Stargate could shut this down, but instead AlphaStar aims to go for another Oracle. And it does keep track of the Warp Prism, which is nice.
It's using the Oracles to watch the Warp Prism, but you're very right. If you make one Phoenix here, Mana has to stop this Warp Prism play. Absolutely.
Now Mana has, you would normally say, a more powerful army, but I think the numbers are still heavily in favor of AlphaStar. Because as annoying as that Immortal, kind of harassment that Immortal attacks were in the main base of AlphaStar, I don't think it did that much damage. So I really think that there is a chance that AlphaStar has an insane amount of units somewhere.
There are a lot of Stalkers right there for AlphaStar. Mana's army counters it pretty darn well. Look at this, bringing over these other 2 Immortals. This is like 7 Immortals here.
This is interesting to see as well, because now once again, Mana's army is in the middle of the forces of AlphaStar. And this is where things get very interesting, especially with the new camera movement we went over before this game started.
Yeah, previously we saw AlphaStar be able to pick apart an army like this, but Mana's army is stronger than it was in that previous game. This is a ridiculously strong army. The probe's starting to go down heavily. Now, where is Alpha Star? Where's Alpha Star? I don't see Alpha Star's units anywhere.
Recall use, perhaps, unless all the stalkers decided to attack on the other side of the map. I mean, it's impossible
Shouldn't
for us.
they have hit by now?
Yeah, but they're kind of just running around. The force field being dropped, it really seems like Mana has brought this game back, even though we would use the term outplayed normally. I think in the first 6-7 minutes of this game, Mana was getting outplayed by Alpha Star. At this point, it seems like Mana has created an army that is too much to deal with, even though there's quite a few oracles, actually.
That is a lot of oracles. You are right about that. If all of the anti-air units go away, the oracles actually can clean everything else up, so we should not be counting out Alpha Star yet. But Alpha Star, I don't believe, has really any mining bases, so this is a very uphill battle right now for it.
Well, I think Mana has done it, and that's actually very impressive, because Mana was in a rough position.
Yeah.
But it seems like Alpha Star was quite confused on how it should have dealt with the Warp Prism arrest.
Yeah.
If there's one thing that Mana found in all of the games that we've seen so far, is that the response to the Warp Prism arrest was not optimal.
No, the harassment of that Warp Prism was so important. Just the Immortals overall, it feels like the games in which Mana has made a lot of Immortals are the ones that were a bit closer. But, I mean, Alpha Star is still really trying to hold on. It seems like this is the point of no return, though.
Yeah, the majority of the bases went down. Most of the workers have been picked off, and a few oracles are not going to save this game. Now, we do know one thing, and we haven't seen it yet because Alpha Star has only been winning so far, but then...
Yes, Alpha Star cannot GG. Alpha Star does not decide that it has lost the game and then leave it. So Mana will have to go to the win condition, which is to destroy every building of Alpha Star. And as you see, there are a few left. Alpha Star has been trying to rebuild, but at this point, we know, as professional commentators, that Alpha Star has a 0% chance to win.
What do you think are the odds of Alpha Star building a pylon in the right top side of the map? Wouldn't that be something?
Watch enough replays, you'll see some humans do that, that's for sure. And that is that. GG. Mana has defeated Alpha Star. What do you guys think about this game that we just saw? Because it started out brilliantly for Alpha Star.
Yeah, awesome. It's great to see that he's really made it. I think there was the interesting War Prism bringing up the two Immortals that I think maybe confused a little bit Alpha Star, but it was like the beginning looked really solid, and Mana has done a great job. I'm looking forward to hearing his thoughts. I think we'll have him here very soon.
Absolutely. He's actually coming up right now, so we'll be talking to him in a second. But what really surprised me about this is it started out looking the most human, like that was the most standard play that we've really seen. You could have mistaken it for a top tier pro, but then Mana starts to come back and tear it apart with that harassment.
That's right. So first and foremost, congratulations to Mana. That was just an amazing performance. So just really just wanted to
say good game. GG. The agent doesn't GG, but we can.
Yeah, it was very stubborn, wasn't it? Like, he really didn't want to leave. Like, the game was over for a long time. Such manners.
So Mana, first question that I have for you after the game is the first 5-6 minutes, or maybe 7 minutes, it felt rough. Like, it kind of felt like you were being outplayed there.
Yeah, the constant Oracle harassment, but it did some micro mistakes with the Oracle. I think there were times where the Alpha Star could have saved some of the Oracles and decided to simply commit more or just fly around a little bit. So while the first few minutes did look rough, I still think I had a better unit composition, and I could see with the observer. That was my plan to see how much. To see as much as possible with the observer. So because in the previous series that I have played against Alpha Star, I was in the dark. I didn't know what is going on, and the lack of information cost me cutting the economy. That means I will have less army. With less army, I can do less stuff. So with this approach to the game, I was able to see what Alpha Star is going for, and then just react accordingly.
Yeah, and you did just a fantastic job of that. I mean, that was an amazing game. You're the first human to beat Alpha Star as a pro gamer. You guys have any thoughts on that game other than what we've already gone over?
Well, I think the nature of StarCraft is that it's an incredibly rich and amazing space of strategies that can be played by both players. And I guess part of that means that, it's you have to play extremely well, but even the very top players in the world don't win every single game.
Yeah.
And so I think it's really nice to see actually what happens on the other side of the table when actually it's possible to reverse it, and see what happens when Alpha Star actually loses a game. And so I'm just really grateful for you to actually showing us that side of the game.
Yeah, I'm quite happy for Mana actually, because he played really well in the series, so this is really, really well deserved, I think.
Indeed.
Well, I want to say, first of all, I really enjoyed that exhibition match as well. It was awesome. Awesome to see Mana pull it back as well. But I think a burning question that every StarCraft 2 fan has that's out there watching the stream right now is, are we going to see Alpha Star play the other races as well? I mean, what about Terran? What about Zerg? Is that something you guys are perhaps planning?
Right. So obviously, this could potentially answer the question, which is the best race in StarCraft. So as a player, I'm super excited to see how Alpha Star is going to play other races. So absolutely would be like, I mean, the approach we take here is not specific to one race. We really picked Protoss just to kind of reduce the amount of matchups and so on. But clearly we can just apply the same sort of technique to get the all versus all matches, and that would be awesome to see.
I think that's something we're all very excited.
Yeah, and to kind of build upon what you're saying here, what is actually in the future for Alpha Star and for DeepMind in this venture?
Right, so many of the sort of techniques we actually borrowed from other fields. In particular, the agent architecture borrows state-of-the-art technology from natural language processing areas like machine translation and so on and so forth. So one thing we're quite hopeful for is to kind of bring back some of these ideas and advances towards those fields, like kind of, for instance, not only natural language processing, translation, just any sequence modeling. This is, at the end of the day, a very complicated sequence task, the sequence of actions that you have to go through. So, for instance, weather predictions, like long-term planning of a very complicated sequence, that's something we would look forward to also thinking about now in the next few months and so on.
And in addition, if you look at the history of AI, there's often been a problem with systems which have somewhat learned for themselves, but a very particular way to deal with a domain, and that can end up being quite brittle. And one of the amazing things about humans is their incredible capability to kind of figure out different ways to solve a problem. And what we were after, and one of the reasons that StarCraft is such an interesting domain, is that it really encourages us to find algorithms that learn for themselves how to deal with a really wide range of different situations and hopefully become quite robust against them. And we think that the Alpha Star League represents a step towards that kind of system.
Wow. Well, I mean, this has just been a fantastic opportunity for the world and the StarCraft community, especially, to see what you guys have been up to. Do you have any final thoughts?
So actually, my heart is sort of divided into two here. I'm, an AI researcher, and as such, I think it's kind of very satisfying to see the approach of a neural network playing such an amazing game, such as StarCraft 2, play at the pro level. I mean, really challenging the best in the world. That's been fantastic to see the progress, and hopefully people are excited about that. And then in kind of my sort of StarCraft heart, I actually what I'm looking most forward to perhaps is this idea that Mana kind of, and I also said this is very exciting for perhaps us to learn something. And actually, we saw in the game Mana was doing the probe trick, or I don't know, maybe this will get a name. So and it may have worked quite well for him. Indeed, he won, right? So those sorts of things, as a former StarCraft player, I mean, I'm super excited about those.
Dave, any final thoughts?
I guess the history of AI has been marked by a number of significant benchmark victories in different games. For example, when Deep Blue defeated Garry Kasparov in chess, or when AlphaGo was able to defeat Lisa Dole in the game of Go. And I hope, although there's clearly still some work to do, but I hope that some of the people in the future may look back at some of the events we've seen today and perhaps consider this as maybe another step forward for what AI systems can actually do and achieve.
Well, it certainly feels like it. We want to thank the entire DeepMind team and, of course, Mana and TLO for the games. Don't forget, there's going to be a lot of information, as well as all of the replays, the archive videos, and everything going up on the DeepMind site. And don't forget, there will be a Reddit AMA tomorrow with Oriel, Dave, Mana, and TLO. So make sure you tune into that. And other than that, thank you very much for watching.
Thank you.
Thank you.